Joining us now, Democratic Congressman John Yarmuth from Kentucky and House Budget Committeeman. It's good to have you here, Congressman. Let's get into this because we start with the expectations. What should the American public have expectation-wise from Congress before this election? Because it seems as if the lights have been turned out and everybody's gone home.
Well, I think it's pretty disgraceful, Thomas, that we adjourned. I think it's the earliest pre-election adjournment since 1960, with all of these important issues still to be resolved by the end of the year. The fiscal cliff, which is basically a combination of the Bush tax cuts expiring and a proposed across-the-board, not proposed, it's actually a mandated across-the-board cut of about 9% in virtually all discretionary programs in the country, is what we have to deal with, along with the Farm Bill and some other items. But this fiscal cliff is something that is really holding the economy back. And, you know, our Republican friends always talk about we need to do away with uncertainty, but they've created this uncertainty by refusing to negotiate, essentially, what most of us agree on. We all agree, both sides agree, that a massive cut in federal spending right now would impair the economy. It would destroy jobs. We also agree that we don't want to raise taxes on 98% of the American people. It's that last 2%, people of making over $250,000 a year, where that is holding the whole negotiating process up.
So if there is no budge on this, it doesn't seem like as the people are watching this that we're really going to get anywhere from you and your colleagues on the Hill. But I do want to get your reaction to what the Congressional Budget Office had to say about this. The CBO saying failing to prevent the sharp fiscal tightening at the start of the year could push the economy into recession. As we know, it is a fragile recovery right now, sir. Last week, the Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke warned of this major fiscal shock if the fiscal cliff is not dealt with. Let's remind everybody, Republicans have set the calendar about this adjournment, so that's why the lights are out. But will we see anything any different after the elections itself? If that's what we have to wait for, what is the big difference that we're going to see after the election?
All right, I think the Republicans are counting on Governor Romney. If he were to win the presidency, which looks unlikely now, then they would be able to kick the can down the road into next year and be in a much stronger position to resolve the tax issue, because they wouldn't face a veto from a President Romney. If President Obama's reelected, then they're not in nearly as strong a negotiating position, and I think they're even admitting now that if President Obama is reelected, that their hand will be forced and they will have to come off their position on taxes. Again, remember, this is all about Grover Norquist and all the Republicans who have signed pledges never to raise taxes on anybody one dime, no matter what. But I think there are a lot of Republicans who really are interested in becoming more flexible, and that would be a welcome thing for resolving this impasse and also going forward.
Can any deal get done, though, without raising taxes on the? I mean, as we look at this, you know, the only way to get back on track is to cut spending, but also to raise taxes. So we raise the revenue base of what we're bringing in D.C. So how do we get this done without raising taxes on the wealthy?
Well, I don't think we can. You know, we've always advocated a very balanced approach, and we've just asked the very wealthiest Americans, the only ones really who have done well over the last 10 years, to help contribute to this deficit problem. But you mentioned a very important factor, and the Republicans finally admitted it, because they say, you know, if you cut defense spending, you're going to kill jobs. Well, if you cut other forms of spending, you also kill jobs. But at least they're on the record that way. So you've got this double threat to the economy. Drastic cuts in federal spending, including defense, and raising taxes on everybody in the country, which takes consumption money out of the economy. So we've got to get this resolved. I think we can. The lame duck session after the election is going to be a fascinating one. And again, if President Obama is reelected, he has most of the cards.
So is it your suggestion, though, that maybe other millionaires out there can be as kind and generous as Mitt Romney is to overpay their tax rates, so that we can get America back on track?
We don't want them to overpay. We just want the wealthiest Americans to pay what they were paying back during the Clinton years, when we had the greatest economic expansion in modern history. That's all we're asking them to do.
All right.